According to every comment section I see, these guys are the most, hated guitar brand by young people. Hello, everybody. My name is Austin Randolph. If you like what I do, I like to get the little bit of housekeeping stuff out of the way. If you could subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. That's something that you can do that helps me directly. I'm not going to really have any links for you guys to buy anything down below, just because today we're talking about the Gibson Guitar Company, its future as a brand, and just kind of what I think about that, coming from like a dude in their 20s. But if you could like the video and subscribe, that's something that you can do directly that I would appreciate very much. And like I said, we're not talking about like a specific guitar today, but it'd be weird to do a video about the Gibson Guitar Company if I wasn't holding a Gibson guitar. So, kind of like the sound snippet from the front, let's talk about what I think about the future of the Gibson Guitar Company, because I don't think it's going anywhere. So, something I've noticed, particularly on TikTok, and maybe just because TikTok has a younger demographic than the other social media platforms, I've noticed anytime I am playing a Gibson guitar, or I'm talking about a Gibson guitar, or so much as think the words Gibson guitar, the comment section is full of nothing but dudes trashing the Gibson Guitar Company. And, you know, the thing is probably the go-to thing people say is like, oh, they can't afford one, so that's why they hate it. Look, there probably is some of that. But, you know, there's a whole argument within the guitar community that what Gibson makes is irrelevant and outdated, and they charge too much money for it, and it's stupid. The whole point the reason I'm making this video, I think that is vastly incorrect. And I'm here to kind of give my perspective as to why I think that's incorrect. If you walk around a guitar store, particularly like my home guitar store, and you look behind the counter and they have all these, Les Pauls, SGs, 335s, and the guys working there probably associate famous Gibson guitar players that I don't think of, that are not like my first guitar players when I think of a Gibson Les Paul. What I mean by that is I put together this really quick little list in my head. Like, I was thinking of the first time I heard the band Jimmy Eat World. And it was actually the music video for the song Pain. If you haven't heard that, it's an absolute banger from one of the old Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. But I thought of this dude playing his gold Les Paul. And I was thinking about, man, what other guitar players do I immediately associate with a Gibson from like when I was a teenager? The next that came to mind was the guitar player from My Chemical Romance and the I'm Not Okay and Helena music videos. And he was a Les Paul guy. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. Maybe I didn't realize, and then I thought about this guy. I thought about Billy Joe from Green Day, who I think is, at least in my mind, Green Day is synonymous with his Les Paul Jr., right? With just a bridge pickup. And I thought about Pete from Fall Out Boy. And at least in my mind, he's synonymous with the SG. And I was going through thinking about these people like, man, when I think about like a Gibson Les Paul, I don't necessarily go, oh yeah, Jimmy Page and Clapton played one and Kiss and blah blah blah. I don't necessarily. Of course, I know those guys are associated with this model of guitar, but they're not like the first dudes that come to mind when I see a white Les Paul. I don't immediately go Randy Rhoads. I know that's like sacrilege to say. When I see a white Les Paul, I think about My Chemical Romance, and I think about Justin Hawkins from The Darkness, the I Believe in a Thing Called Love guy. And, I really don't think these are just like flash in the pan popular bands that I'm talking about here. I think anybody in my age range, when I'm an elderly man hobbling around on a cane, there's a very good chance I'm going to be playing like Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance for my grandkids. That sounds bizarre to say right now, but I really think those bands that I just listed and those guitar players. Oh, and I forgot Nickelback. Like, he was a PRS guy when they first started out, but Nickelback, Chad plays a Les Paul. And the big one, even if you want to go like more mainstream, I would say probably the most mainstream of the people that I've mentioned, dude, Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl's been playing some kind of a Gibson since the 90s when he put out like their first record. My point I'm getting at is everybody that says like it's, let me put it this way. Every 13-year-old on the internet that knows everything says that it's like irrelevant and nobody plays Gibsons anymore. And I mean, dude, that's not true. And I think they're always going to be a desirable guitar brand. Whether or not you think it's worth it, fine. I mean, politely, nobody asked. But like, there's plenty of other options out there. And is $3,000 for a Les Paul Standard a lot? Yeah, it's a lot. I have bad news. Gibson Les Pauls have always been a lot. If you go back to what they were charging in 1958 for one, and you compare it to the price today, the price per where inflation has taken the dollar, it's not that crazy off. They've always been an expensive guitar, but they've always been absolute rock and roll machines. And I think they're just as relevant in today's rock and roll and punk rock and metal and insert whatever genre you want. And back to what I was saying about, my old ass listening to My Chemical Romance, when I'm 80 years old, guess what, man? I'm still going to have like some Les Pauls laying around the house when I'm 80 years old, because I associate that with I'm Not Okay. And I love that song. And I love that music. And I just think it's interesting, and I haven't heard somebody really talk about this, that it's not like this brand is just attached to 60s and 70s guitar players. Like, it went away a little bit in the 80s when everybody was playing a Super Strat, and then Slash brought it right back to relevancy. So I don't even necessarily think it's a product anymore. I think Gibson guitars are almost their entire subcategory of electric guitar, and I think it's a booming subcategory. And is this kind of just rambling? Yeah, a little bit, but it's rambling because I really do see dudes throw around that opinion like it's fact, that this is irrelevant and overpriced and stupid and like it's gonna die with the baby boomers, which I think is crazy, because I will never not look at a white Les Paul and associate it with some like cool scene band from the 2000s. So I just really think that opinion has no basis in reality. I think Gibson guitars have a humongous amount of staying power. Are they always going to be crazy expensive, made in Nashville, whatever? No, I don't think so. I think companies evolve and change over time. They used to be made in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Maybe one day they'll be made in Mexico. Maybe one day they'll be made in China. I don't know. All I know is that this shape, with this pickup configuration, with that name on it, is going nowhere. And if it came off like a Gibson guitar dick rider, I apologize, but it's one of those things where I love this guitar company. Have I picked up a Gibson guitar that plays like dog shit and never should have left the factory? Yes. I can say the same for literally every company that makes this instrument. So it's not like it's just this thing. I love Gibson guitars. Any hoodles. Did I miss a famous Gibson guitar player? Like, when you think about a Les Paul or an Explorer or 335 or SG, who do you think of? And like, let me know in the comments. I just gave you my list because those were like so screamingly obvious to me. Who am I not remembering from like the 2000s, 2010s, even the 90s? But when you think about a Les Paul, if who you're thinking about was not a 60s and 70s guitar player, drop it below in the comments, because I want to hear. I want to hear who I missed and who I didn't just like think of. But those are my thoughts. You know, maybe not the most organized thoughts in the world, but just figured I would get something out there. My little theory about the longevity of these guys. So that's all I got, everybody. Take care.